Hey YouTube, I'm back with another wrap up, and today I have the January wrap up. Now, if you watched the video I put up right before this one, that is my winter ween wrap up, and some of these books are already on there, and I talked about them in that wrap up. So I'm going to start with those books first. So in that, I read Winter Counts. I read The Child. I read Children of the Corn. I read The Haunting of Brian Wilder. And those are the ones that I read for the winter read, but also part of my January reads. And now for the books that were not on there, one of them is also on my Kindle, and that is My Sister the Serial Killer. I believe I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a short novella, which I highly recommend as a read. I absolutely enjoyed this. I was so frustrated with the ending because it left on a cliffhanger that made me think that there was a part 2. Okay. I don't want to say the author's name because I'm going to butcher it, and I don't want to do that. But if you are watching this, somebody write the author and tell her she needs the part 2. I will write her and tell her she needs a part 2. But this is a really good book. This follows a sister duo, but it's told from the perspective of our main character sister, which I cannot remember her name at the moment, but she works in the medical field, in a doctor's office, and her sister is a serial killer. Her job is pretty much, has always been, to follow behind her sister and clean up whoever her sister has killed, right? So the horror in that is that she believes whatever lie her sister gives her about why she's committed the murder, and she just cleans it up. Now, does she always believe it wholeheartedly? No. But she doesn't want to see her sister in jail as well, and she is starting to become that person that believes that men just are getting what they deserve because they're so unloyal, etc., etc. But at the same time, she wants to find love. So she's very much so in that what do I do, what I don't do every time she has to clean up behind her sister. But nevertheless, she chooses her sister. Great book. I would definitely reread this book again and again. All right. Next, I have to go to my Goodreads app because all the rest of those covers are on there. All right. So, I read, keep getting all these updates, Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I liked it. It was okay, but it wasn't great, and it would not be a book that I would reread. I did get my copy from Book of the Month. It's still in good shape, so I will probably put that in my unhaul pile and give it away. I, on the other hand, read the audio version because it was one of the books that I did take to my storage unit before we moved here. So I did not have the physical copy. But it's not a book that I would reread. It was good, but it wasn't great. Next, I reread The Hate You Give. It was a great book. Everybody should read it, really. I gave it a 5 out of 5. And the book pretty much speaks for itself. There's no need for me to go into it. If you have not seen the news, which I'm sure most of the world has seen the news, the book follows the main character who was in the car with her best friend when he was shot and killed by the police, and there are riots and protests for them to get justice for the her best friend's killer. And it's pretty much like, yes, he may have done things that were bad, but did he deserve to die? And if you read the story, you know the answer would be no. Should he have listened as far as not moving and going back into the car when he was shot? Yes. Did he deserve to die? No. And then you follow the storyline to that. So there's enough of that story in the media and stories like it to where you all should already know that storyline pretty much. This is a book that I read with my classroom. And yes, I count the books that I read in my classroom because I read them. So why not? Catching the Moon, the story of a young girl's baseball dream. This was a really cute story, really good story. This is a story that follows a young girl who wants to play baseball as a career when she gets older. But of course, women don't play baseball. Girls don't play baseball unless you're playing around with your friends on the street. But to be professional at it and want to do it as a career is not something that you do. So you follow our main character who plays baseball with her friends in a field, and she's the only girl. And the boys are all looked at to go to a baseball camp, and she's denied. So you follow her throughout this book to prove herself that she also belongs in the baseball camp, which she is eventually granted that wish. Then I also read The Bat Boy and His Violin. And this book is a story that follows a young boy who loves playing the violin, who you kind of see that his dad at the beginning, doesn't really care all that much about his violin playing, that he should be playing sports. So the dad is missing one of his baseball players and his bat boy because they were sick or something like that. And he tells his son, like, you're going to do this and we can worry about your violin recital afterwards. And so his son does that, but instead of him just sitting there and being a part of the game, his son plays the violin for the baseball team members that are playing, and has, like, you know, the motivation for the teams to play well by playing his music. And that's what he travels with the team to do. And then at the end, everyone on his dad's team actually comes to see him do a recital in his living room. It's really cute story. Definitely well worth a read. And I would read this book over and over again with my students and my children. And the last book that is on my list for January, which was actually the first one that I started to read, and the last one I finished with, because it was a daily devotional read that we read, like, you know, once a day reads. And it is a reread. I've read it 4 times already. It's a reread. We read it at the beginning of the year and we read it at the end of the year as church. It's a really good read as well, and it is 30 Days with Jesus. There's really no need to go into a lot of detail because it's pretty straightforward and upfront about what it is. You have 30 days of devotional readings that you read, and each day takes you on the journey of Jesus's life while he was here on earth. And it is told from the books of the gospel, so Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And there are questions that you answer at the end. Yes, we've answered these questions many a times before, but depending on what's going on in your life at that moment, the answers are always slightly different. Not completely different, but they're always slightly different. And that's what I enjoy about reading this over and over again, because it not only just reminds you that you're in a walk with God, but it kind of lets you be reflective in what you've done to get closer relationship with God and closer relationship with those that are in your life. So I enjoyed that. So that was my January wrap up. Those are the books that I read. I'm not even sure if that was everything that I actually had on my TBR video, but that is what I read and finished in the month of January. So with that, I will see you guys when I post my February TBR. Bye.